Hey Mohammed, how's it going, mate? Yeah, apologies about that youth intake. That head of youth development really let me down there. Unfortunately, you have to find us some wonder kids, I think. Yeah, while we're on the subject of staff letting me down, look, this doesn't have to be a big issue just yet. We should be capable of beating these guys anyway. But if we could keep the actual next opposition reports coming in, I know it's tough to find information about the Hungarian league, but still, if I don't win this game, I could be getting fired, okay? So just, pick your game up. I don't want to see this happen throughout the rest of the season, and we'll be on good terms, okay? Cool. Just, keep up to the mark, okay? Awesome. Go find me some wonder kids. Catch you later, mate.
Looking for trouble and fights, but you found me. No, I'm a screw up, but baby, I'm glad you're someone to rely on, someone to rely on. No, I'm a screw up, but baby, I could be someone to rely on, someone to rely on, someone to rely on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 122 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode, we have a Champions League playoff. We take on the champions of Hungary in Budapest Honvéd, and hopefully make our way through to the group stages yet again. So if you are looking forward to this episode, which will also have the draw for the Champions League or Europa League, depending which one we do end up in, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. We have played no games off the back of our win in the third qualifying round in yesterday's episode against Norrköping of Sweden. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. We've got no injury concerns off the back of that game. We have our best 11 available for this first leg away from home. So hopefully this is going to be a nice, comfy path through to the Champions League group stage. As we looked at the end of yesterday's episode, these guys yet again are a 3-star reputation club, exactly the same as the past two teams that we have bet on our way, hopefully, to this Champions League for this upcoming season. So it should be a team we are capable of beating. We do also have one other Icelandic team down in Conference League qualifying. It was the team that we did hope we were going to be in a Conference League playoff, and that is, of course, HK, after they made the group stages of the Champions League last season. But unfortunately, they have a very tough draw there. They take on Athletic Bilbao of Spain, a much, much tougher test than we have got here in our Champions League playoff. I think it is fair to say, so hopes are not too high there for HK. It would be great if they can make their way through to the Conference League. Could give us some very nice help in the coefficient for this upcoming season. But as I said, they've got a pretty tough draw, it is fair to say, and we'll check in on those guys throughout today's episode as well. But as I said, we've got our best 11 available for this game. Everyone is fit and ready. No yellow card issues as well, which is very nice indeed. So we'll come back shortly and get into the action from Hungary in this Champions League playoff against Budapest Honvéd. And we have to wait all the way up until the 26th minute for our first highlight of this Champions League playoff. We are in our green home uniforms, Budapest Honvéd in the red with the black shorts. We do get the ball there from that clearance from the Hungarian outfit. Play a ball over the top there for Matthias Aguirre, right on the edge of the box. Plays that back to Nicholas Zimmerman. He starts to drive forward, tries to put that into the top left corner. It does go just over the bar. We've been pretty dominant in this game, as you might have been able to tell by those stats that did pop up there briefly, but not much to show for it apart from that first highlight, albeit another one not too long off the back of that. Kalen Rakasan tries to chip that over the goalkeeper, but the defenders do get back and cover that. Still 0-0 at the half-hour mark. And now up to the 33-minute mark, we are back down there for a corner. Bassero, Gay or Thiago Polo gets their head on the end of that, but it does go just over the bar, so starting to create a few chances in this one, but it does remain 0-0, albeit only a few minutes later, we do have a free kick. Levan Tam over there for Matthias Aguirre, takes a little kiss that off the upright, and it is still 0-0 with 10 minutes left of the first half. And that is half time in the away leg of this Champions League playoff. The scoreline still locked up at 0-0, but not really too sure how we could actually have 2 goals in this game based on our XG. We've had one clear-cut chance. We should certainly be a goal up, so not overly pleased with how we are doing, but encouraging signs nonetheless. Ali Ramadan did pick up a yellow card in that first half, so Gaetano de Prisco will come on for him for the second half, and hopefully we can grab a goal to take back to Iceland for the home league. And about 10 minutes into the second half, we do have our first highlight of it. Is a throw-in here for our Hungarian opposition, having to play out from the back, getting that up towards the halfway line, but Lasana Dumbia, good foot in there, ball over the top for Matthias Aguirre. Their goalkeeper just completely gives up, and the Peruvian striker finally opens the scoring for us in this Champions League playoff. As you would have seen before at halftime, did feel like, based on the stats, we should have at least had one goal in that first half. That's some good work there from the young wonder kid midfielder. Nice ball over the top there for Aguirre. As I said, probably not great work there from their goalkeeper, but we don't mind. We're 1-0 up with just over a half hour left of the away leg. And up to the 65-minute mark, we are going to make our second substitution at this time. Kenny Boreal is on a yellow card. We'll just play it safe with him. Andy Harwood will come on for these last 25 minutes, still holding a 1-0 lead. And up to the 72-minute mark now, we have a corner. Thiago Polo gets his head on the end of that, just goes wide. We are still 1-0 up here with 17 minutes left, and we are going to make our last substitution at this time as well. We've got a few players on red hearts, but Frederick Larsson, I think we can improve in that area a little bit more for a substitution here. Chaka Traore will come on for him, and it was briefly there Budapest Honvéd who were on the attack, but we do get an interception and get the ball up there to Matthias Aguirre. We'll play that back though to Levan Tam, but we'll try and get something going here through our right-hand side. Good chance there for Aguirre, and he does pick up a double, rifles that into the top right corner. That time I don't think there was anything the Budapest Honvéd goalkeeper could do about that one, and we do go 2-0 up with about 15 minutes left here of this away leg. So this is a good result away from home despite taking on opposition. We should be beating it to double for Aguirre to put us 2-0 up. And we are entering injury time in this game. It hasn't been a vintage performance by any means from us away from home, but we are still going to pick up a win, and that is what matters. We have a nice cushion going into that home league should things start to go by the wayside, but a good performance, just not quite as clinical in front of goal as we potentially should have been there with that 3 and a bit XG, but Budapest Honvéd never really threatened us throughout that game, and we do take a nice 2-0 lead back to Iceland for the second leg of this Champions League playoff. There you can see the other results from the other Champions League playoff ties. We'll come back shortly, check in on HK before we do get stuck in to our home league with that 2-0 lead. And we are back prior to the second leg of this Champions League playoff. A few things to run through before we do get stuck into that though. First off, a check in on HK down in Conference League qualifying, taking on Athletic Bilbao, and things did not go well for those guys. Away from home, they suffer a heavy 4-0 defeat, so they're probably done. You can stick a fork in them, I think it is fair to say, and we're not going to get too much, I think, out of HK, and quite a tough tie there in the Conference League playoffs. So that's a little bit unfortunate off the back of making the group stages of the Champions League last season, but in the end, they've actually got quite a tough playoff down there. I think it is fair to say, so it does look like HK are not going to be making their way through to the group stages of the Conference League. Unfortunately, in terms of us, we have had one game off the back of that first leg there against Budapest Honvéd. We do remain unbeaten in the domestic league off the back of a 5-1 win there against Valarekiewicz Jonata with a hat-trick and goals to Ognjanov and Chaka Traore as well. So that does mean we're still in a very good position in the league, 8 points clear of HK, but with a game in hand, so that league could stretch back out to 11 points, and we might not be that far away, hopefully, from securing the league title going into the start of European competition in tomorrow's episode. Unfortunately, though, we do just have a few little changes we are going to make for the second leg against Budapest Honvéd. Hopefully, it's not going to have too much of a negative effect, but Kenny Boreal, of course, was on a yellow card, so we're just going to pull him out of the squad for this upcoming game, make sure he has no suspensions going into the group stages of whatever European competition we do end up in. That means that Andy Harwood is going to start for us at left back, and Stamatas Chatzakis will come onto the bench. And the other change that we do make is that Basalo Gay picked up just a little niggly injury in training off the back of that first leg of the Champions League playoffs. So that means that Brynjar Galtason will come in for this one. We could have played Basalo Gay if we absolutely had to, but I'm hoping that will not be necessary. We should get by just fine with Brynjar Galtason in there, but those are the changes that we have made, just 2 to that starting lineup. Hopefully we can finish off the job here at home with that 2-0 lead. We'll come back shortly and make sure that that is the case and make our way through to the Champions League group stage yet again. And we do have an early highlight here in this home league with that 2-0 lead. Budapest Honvéd getting a foot in there on Levan Tam, but we do keep possession thanks to Lasana Dumbia, and it is Nicholas Zimmerman plays that forward to Kalen Rakasan, just as to chip the goalkeeper, puts a little bit too much sauce on it, and it remains 0-0 here after 5 minutes, but we are up 2 goals after the away leg. And 14 minutes gone now for our next highlight. Back down in their final third, we do have a throw and the ball goes back out to Levan Tam after linking up with Matthias Aguirre from putting the ball into the mixer. We keep the ball out on this right-hand side. Lovely ball that from Levan Tam. Kalen Rakasan will tuck that away in the bottom left corner. We will just have to wait and see here, though, for a VAR check, but the goal has been awarded. We are now 3 goals up, and hopefully that's enough of a cushion to make sure we should be making our way through to the group stages of the Champions League. Yet again, it's a really nice ball there from our right back. Was being marked fairly tightly there, but still got the ball off, and Kalen Rakasan just a little bit too much nous there to get in behind the Budapest Honvéd defence. Just enough of a gap there to make his way through, tucks it away bottom left corner, and we are 1-0 up, quarter of an hour through our home league. And not too long off the back of that opening goal, it was Budapest Honvéd there briefly on the attack, but we do clear the ball and try and play our way out from the back and hopefully extend this lead and try and keep up this good record we've got over the past few seasons of making sure that we do win all of our qualification games for the Champions League. That's just a nice little boost going into the serious stuff, especially for the coefficient. Ball over the top there for Matthias Aguirre. Their goalkeeper comes out, gets nowhere near it, and Matthias Aguirre will pick up his third goal of this tie. He's starting to really hit some form now in this first rotation here at Völsungur, as he needs to, because we've got 2 good backups there in Jonata and Fabio Mariano, but it's 2-0 Völsungur coming up to the 20-minute mark and 4-0 overall. And we go all the way up to the 36-minute mark for our next highlight. A bit of a lull in this game since that opener for us. Kalen Rakasan just keeps that ball in there. What looked like it might be going out for a goal kick, but we do manage to keep this in and hopefully get another attack off. We try and play a ball into the mixer there, and Budapest Honvéd might have a chance on the counter-attack, but Brynjar Galtason gets possession back for us. Nicholas Zimmerman down the right-hand side squares that for Matthias Aguirre, but that's a pretty safe save there for the Budapest Honvéd goalkeeper, albeit this highlight does continue. Maybe we're going to get one more chance here from this one, and yet again looks like it might come from our right-hand side. Zimmerman and Dumbia were linking up, but it's a bit of a poor pass there, albeit we try and put a little bit of pressure there on the Budapest Honvéd defenders, and eventually we do get the ball back yet again. Ali Ramadan with a yellow card. That's some poor defence, and Matthias Aguirre with a lovely chip over the goalkeeper, just dips below the bar. He will pick up yet another double, and we are now 3-0 up in the first half of the second leg and 5-0 up overall. We should definitely be in the group stages of the Champions League. Yet again, not too sure what that defender was doing there. Gave Aguirre a little bit of space. Lovely chip to make it 3-0 on the day. And that is half time in the second leg. Already looks like we're going to be making our way through to the Champions League group stage draw. Yet again, very clinical in front of goal this time, unlike the first half. From that away leg, we're going to make exactly the same substitution as in that away leg as well, with Ali Ramadan picking up a yellow card. Yet again, exactly the same substitution as I said, so that means that Gaetano Duplisco will come on for him, but very happy with how things are going. We are 5-0 up with 45 minutes left of this playoff. And just over 10 minutes into the second half, it's a clearance there by the Budapest Honvéd goalkeeper, but one of our defenders does win the ball in the air for us. It is Duplisco off the bench, and it looks like we're going to try and get something going here down this left-hand side. Rakasan Aguirre, lovely short passing. Lasana Dumbia will also pick out a chip. He returns the favour there, does Matthias Aguirre, from that combination, which did open the scoring in the away leg, and we are absolutely cruising here. It's some lovely liquid football. Kalen Rakasan puts the ball in here for Aguirre. It's a lovely pass on the first touch. Lasana Dumbia chips it into the bottom right corner. 4-0 on the day, 6-0 on aggregate. And we are now inside the last half hour. We do have a corner here though. Lasana Dumbia trying to pick out Tiago Polo there at the near post, but it is Budapest Honvéd who might get a chance here on the counter-attack. Duplisco doesn't quite bring his man down here, and they do have numbers here. He chips the goalkeeper himself there, does Attila Husavik, and it is Budapest Honvéd who get their first goal of this tie, albeit it's very much a consolation one at this stage. DePrisco just gets involved there and doesn't quite interrupt play enough. That means that one of our wing-backs there has to come out and from there. They just did the numbers to Budapest Honvéd, so unfortunately we can see the goal, but still very safe here, 6-1 up on aggregate. And 10 minutes left in this one. We're going to make our last two substitutions. A few players here on a red heart. Matthias Aguilera is on a hat-trick, but we'll just give him a rest, give Jonata some game time here in the first team, and we will also take off Levan Tam. We might actually bring Stamatas Chatzakis on for him because he could use a little bit more match sharpness in these last 10 minutes, still holding that 5-goal lead on aggregate. And shortly off the back of those substitutions, it is Budapest Honvéd here in position around about the halfway line. Maybe they're going to find some form late in this one when it is all too late for them, grabbing a goal back not too far ago, but they do get a chance here through the goal scorer, but just puts it wide. So they're certainly starting to create some opportunities, but far too late. As I said, we are still 5 goals up on aggregate with 5 minutes left. And shortly off the back of that last chance, yet again, it is a free kick here for Budapest Honvéd. So as I said, they are coming home with a wet sail in this one, but far too late. We will be making our way through to the Champions League group stage draw yet again, and the goal scorer gets in behind, just puts that wide. So yeah, they're coming home nicely. We're just falling away here late in the second leg, but we are in a very comfortable position, 5 goals up inside the last few minutes of this one. We will just go back to a higher line because we were just trying the standard line there for a little bit off the back of that most recent chance. I do think Zimmerman is offside there from that highlight that they have decided to show, and we are about to enter injury time in this game. Only the 1 minute of it in the end. It was a very good first half performance here to put us 3-0 up. We grabbed a second half goal through Lasana Dumbia. They pegged one back, but a very comfortable win, 4-1 on the day and 6-1 on aggregate in the end. Budapest Honvéd, not really much of a match for us. They got into gear late in that second leg, but it was far too late for them, and we are going to be making our way through to the group stage draw of the Champions League. Yet again, there are the other results from these playoff ties, and we'll come back shortly. Check in on HK, who are probably going to be out, let's be frank, and then we'll do the group stage draw for this season's Champions League. And we are back about to see what happens in this Champions League draw. Of course, the actual second leg of that Conference League playoff hasn't happened yet, so we'll give you guys a little bit of an update on that off the back of this draw. But big news early doors. We have made our way up to being a pot 2 team now for the Champions League. So hopefully that means we can actually start making the knockouts of the Champions League just a little bit more regularly than we have been. Of course, we did make the knockouts of the Champions League 2 seasons ago, but then dropped back down to the knockouts of the Europa League last season. Hopefully now being a pot 2 team, we can start to make that be a little bit more of a regular thing, and that will certainly help out the club monetarily as well. But looking at the teams in each pot, in pot 1, we have both of the Manchester clubs alongside Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, Juventus, Ajax, and the Europa League winners there in Leicester City. Down to pot 2 alongside us in here is Milan, Arsenal, Chelsea, RB Leipzig, Inter, Dortmund, and Barcelona. So that's quite a few teams we have taken on of late. So that's a few that we can avoid, which might just mix things up in terms of which teams we do get here in this season's Champions League. Down to pot 3, once it actually does go all the way back down there after it rose for some reason. We've got Real Sociedad, Lille, Sevilla, Ostende, Shakhtar, Rangers, Gladbach, and PSV Eindhoven. Not too many scary names down there, I think it is fair to say. So hopefully, as I said, no matter what we do get in this group stage draw, we might have a sneaky chance of making the knockouts of the Champions League. And down to pot 4, these should be easy beats for us. Hopefully, FK Partizan, Galatasaray, Ross County, Benfica, Kukuriki Stankom, Sparta Prague, Sampdoria, and WSG Tirol. So those are the pots for this upcoming Champions League draw. We'll start to make our way through it for the pot 1 teams and see which does look like potentially the best group for us, albeit it's a bit hard to tell now that we are a pot 2 team. We probably want to avoid the likes of Man City, PSG, Juventus, teams that we know are quite easily capable of beating us. The same could be said for Bayern, Real Madrid, Man United. I think a group with Ajax or Leicester might be quite nice, albeit that Leicester City team did beat Arsenal in the Europa League final last season. Of course, Arsenal did a decent number on us in the second knockout round of that Europa League. So I guess Ajax would be the ideal situation here in pot 2, but we'll wait and see exactly where we do come out. We don't get Ajax, that is Dortmund. Hopefully we avoid Man City, they get Barcelona, so at least that's two teams have played quite a bit recently we aren't going to have to deal with. We avoid Inter Milan, and we do get the reigning Europa League champions for the second season in a row. Last year, of course, we got RB Leipzig. This season, we get Leicester City. So I think that's so far a reasonably kind draw for us as Bayern Munich get Arsenal in their group. They'll be absolutely thrilled with that, no doubt. Easy 6 points for Bayern Munich. But now we get into the third pot. We'll see exactly who comes out of this one. Looking through the top half of the draw, Sevilla have gone. That was probably the biggest name down in that third pot, so I think that suits us quite nicely, and we get their countrymen in Real Sociedad. I believe that's a team who topped the group which HK were in the Champions League last season, but I'd hope that we can give those guys a decent matchup if we did take them on, so that certainly evens up this group just a little bit more, but nonetheless, that's still a group that if we can find our form, hopefully we can make our way out of, and now we get to the pot 4 teams, the teams who we should be quite capable of taking care of no matter which one we do get. And we get Ross County out of Scotland. Of course, Ross County weren't actually in the qualifiers there for the Champions League. It was Rangers, so I guess that means that Ross County might actually be the defending champions of Scotland. We'll just check on that quickly, but there is our group: Real Sociedad, Ross County, Leicester and Völsungur. That does look like a group that we hopefully can get out of and into the knockouts of the Champions League. A quick look through at the 3 teams we have got in this group. Real Sociedad, they are predicted to finish third in the Liga. Of course, we're still quite early on in terms of the leagues themselves, so we won't bother too much checking in with league position, but a high reputation club with Erik ten Hag in charge. So they could be a little bit trickier than I might have given them credit for at first look. They're Real Sociedad, but they're going to be a little bit of a tough test there. I think it is fair to say 4.5-star reputation, Erik ten Hag, and they do have the likes of Oyarzabal and Alexander Isak up front, so it does still look like a fairly decent Real Sociedad team, as well as Owen Wijnal at wingback, so that's a decent team that we do have to take on here in this Champions League group. Next up, once we make our way down, is Ross County, and indeed, they're the defending champions of Scotland. So not too sure if I was expecting to say that. Having a look at their team, that looks very, very average. We'll just have a look and see if we can actually see anything about these players, and it looks like all the players are greyed out players, so it's fair to say this should be easy points against Ross County for any of the teams in our group. The defending Scottish champions might be in for a bit of a tough time. I think it is fair to say 3.5-star reputation club, but certainly a little bit surprised to see that those guys have picked up the Scottish Premiership in this past season. They might be in a little bit of bother in this group, hopefully. Anyway, that will at least guarantee ourselves that we can make the knockouts of the Europa League yet again, and we make our way back down and have a look at the defending Europa League champions. They do have a new manager since they did win the Europa League, but they are still a 4.5-star reputation club, predicted to finish 6th in the Premier League, which when you consider the strength of the Premier League is no mean feat at all, and they do have a number of really good young talented players in their squad. Do Leicester City, as I've been able to tell by the scout reports that we do get for occasionally on their players. The likes of Beachy up front in particular does look like quite a good striker, but Leicester City do complete our group, being the defending Europa League champions. So I think there's 3 teams there who could all get out of that group. As I said, Ross County, despite being the defending champions of Scotland with all those greyed out players, I think they're going to be the team that finishes bottom in that group, which we do have, but we'll go forward just a little bit, make sure that HK don't pull off some miracle comeback, and then see what we've got coming up in the first game of the group stage in tomorrow's episode. And we have gone forward a few hours off the back of that Champions League draw, and indeed you can put a nail through the coffin there of HK. They have lost the second leg 3-0 at home, 7-0 on aggregate there to Athletic Club Bilbao. As I said, a bit of a tough draw for them considering all the other teams that they could have taken on in that Conference League playoff, but that's a little bit of a disappointing drop there for HK. I think it is fair to say, off the back of making the group stages of the Champions League last season. So that means that we are the only team involved in European football from this point forward for this upcoming European season. And while we are talking about the overall European picture, we will check in on the coefficient. We didn't actually give you guys a preview of where we should finish come the end of this upcoming European season, but it does look like early doors we at least should jump above Turkey, so that's already hopefully going to be a rise for us inside the top 15, and that is crucial because then we would get back that second Champions League spot as well as that Europa League one as well. So getting inside that top 15 as soon as possible would be very nice indeed. We should do that because we are already a point and a half ahead of the likes of Turkey and not too far behind nations like Russia and Ukraine as well. But at least we should be on for a rise back up that coefficient table come the end of this current season. But starting off in decent form there after qualifying with a 3.75. We are getting rid of the 6.625. That was, of course, the season we did make the Conference League final, getting beaten in that by Brighton and Hove Albion. But it's a big season coming up. We've got a big number we are getting rid of, but even if we can't quite match that, hopefully we will still jump up a few places on that coefficient table and get back that second Champions League qualifying spot for the league path, and also that Europa League third qualifying round one as well. That should hopefully ensure that we do get more Icelandic teams into European competition over the next few seasons of the save. But that will do it for today's episode, quite comfortably making our way through the Champions League playoff. Unfortunately, the same was not the case for HK in the Conference League, and we get a fairly kind group there, I think it is fair to say, in the Champions League. We'll come back tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll have a Malka-Bikram final to go alongside the first game of the group stage of the Champions League, as we are playing second division opposition in that Malka-Bikram semi, so you'd like to think we can beat those guys. So it should be a Malka-Bikram final coming up in tomorrow's episode, the Icelandic Cup, trying to win that yet again. And we've also got the first game of the group stage. It is at home and it is against Ross County, as I said before. Hopefully it's going to be an easy 3 points for us there against a bunch of grayed out players. But if you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow for the first game of the Champions League group stage against Ross County, and hopefully an Icelandic Cup final as well. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.